you have to be real. Like
Yeah.
you have, even if you're being fake to that person, that's still you being real because you're a fake person.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to be some type of way in person. You can't just type it out.
Yeah.
So like for us, I think it's like finding that ground between being inspired by another brand and also like that like fire being lit under you. Like I said, you may not like it. It may not be your cup of tea, but they're still doing their shit and they're killing it. So there's another thing to be inspired on. So like,
and it doesn't mean that whatever they're doing makes you less. Like I know Gary Vee talks about that. Like he said, something about building the tallest building. Like you could either break someone else's building or build yours to the highest that you could possibly take it. And so when you try to like knock somebody else down, like there's so many people, like how are you can't knock everybody down. That's not going to happen. Yeah. So if you want to do something, just build your tallest building that you could possibly make. It doesn't even matter like how tall other people's are. Whatever you want, however big you want to make it, that's what you should focus on. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sound 14 podcast. Today, we got two guys here that from Noap Clothing, right?
No. Yeah,
Nope. Nope. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
You get that a lot.
Yeah. It's like Noap soap.
Soap. Yeah. So we're here early morning. Yes, you know, I'm usually not that much of a morning person, but it's cool. Like, are you guys usually early morning people?
I've had to be as of recently, but no, I wouldn't say I was.
No.
Honestly, I would say I kind of am. Not like on purpose, but just like I think just from high school having to be up early, like just my brain or something is just trained to like, just get up and just get the day going, whether you're tired or not, just gotta go. Yeah.
I remember in high school I had the 0 period classes and that shit was ass. Like I was up I think 6 every day and you had to be there at like 6:45.
Yeah,
and it starts at 7.
Thinking at that point.
Yeah, and I had the physics too as my first class. That shit was ass.
Bro, I made sure I had like teacher's assistant 0 period.
Really?
So I would show up like 30 minutes late and I just check in like, yo, I'm here today.
Yeah, they don't even care.
Yeah, no, it was chill. But no, I'm not like much of a morning person, but if we got to make it happen, then we got to make it happen. Yeah. That's kind of just the mindset right now.
Yeah, I prefer morning podcasts over like late night shit, because like at night, at one time I did it at 10 p.m. a podcast and like the whole energy was just like lower. Like I'm used to like high energy being awake in the morning, you get your shit together, but at night you're used to like just chilling, watching TV or some shit. But if you're doing a podcast, like you want that energy to be high up. Yeah. So people feel it. And from then on, I did one. I was like, I'm not doing this shit again.
Yeah. You're like, nah, let's just keep this shit during the day.
Yeah. During the day. Especially like, I feel like if you do it like kind of late morning, that's like the best time I'm feeling. And other guests that I've had, they also feel better at that time as well.
Yeah. Have you ever done like an AM, like a 1 or 2 a.m. podcast?
No.
'Cause I know the Shane show, they used to start every morning from like 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
And I'm just like, and they had other jobs, and I was just, all right. That's probably a different type of energy.
That's not Mark Wahlberg energy.
Yeah, you just gotta be. They had to name that shit like the night cat podcast or some shit.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, but let's. I want to talk about the brand itself. I know you guys are repping it right now.
Yes. Sir.
What made you want to get started on it or create it?
That's this guy.
And first, it was in 8th grade when I first came up with it. Just having like inspiration just at a small age. Being real, I just didn't want to be out of high school and not know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I just tried to tap into that earlier. And it first started me putting the words soap and NOPE together for Nope. And it's all about staying clean, living that lifestyle of just like, if you're going to do drugs or do drink, just like stay on your shit.
Yeah.
Just like, stay
Be
clean.
focused during it.
But then throughout high school, I had to like go on and off of it in spurts. And like midway through high school, I was like, all right, let me just take a break. Let me learn how to like make this clothes from scratch instead of just like getting scammed, being a little kid going into like manufacturers. So I learned how to screen print, which took like 9 months.
Really?
It could have taken probably like not like 9 hours, but it took me 9 months.
9 months. Dang.
Yeah, just to learn how to like burn the screen, do all that the right way, and it's a bunch of trial and error. And then once that happened, I kind of just got into, just pushing out by word.
Yeah.
Kind of like steered away from like the own website, and then near the end of high school, I started to like take it a little more seriously. Throwing events too kind of came in, so I would just have my clothes at like the small events I'd have, but it still wasn't structured to where like I had a team. It'd be people coming in and out, or I never had like a full like 12 months to go hard on it, and I don't think I still have, but almost now 12 months, because I met this dude in August,
it's end of August, September
of 2020, and I already knew this dude was gonna be with the shits, and quickly after that, like 3 months, we were like getting locked in, but it was still COVID to where like life still had that weird funk to it, and so like we were wanting to like go hard with like our drops or what we were doing, but like it was just so hard to like get in this like clean, like structured mindset. So it was around like December, January, where it was just like no inspiration at all. Just like, damn, I don't even know what to do right now. And then through that, it was just kind of like, all right, once you realize you're in a slump and it's like no one else's fault, because it's like everyone's dealing through COVID, or I can't complain that I'm home because everyone else is home. Like, so once you kind of realize it's like, all right,
everybody's in this situation.
Yeah. No, it's not woe is me. It's like, all right, I just need to snap out of it.
And like when you're in that situation and everybody else is in it too, you got to realize that like if you're feeling some type of way about how you feel or whatever, the only way that's going to change is if you change what you're doing.
Yeah.
And instead of sitting there like, what do we do? Or like, what's the next move? Like, what's the next drop going to be? Design, like all this stuff that like comes into like making it. Instead, it's just like you really have to put that into like, all right, let's actually execute and let's like come up with what we want to come up with. Like, how have we really been feeling? Like you said, snapping out of it. And that kind of like ties into, I feel like, where we are with like the new stuff that's coming out, or it's already out now. So you can go cop it, But basically, it's like you just have to like whatever's in your head, whether it's like good or bad, or you just need to change. I think it's just like you just have to snap into it. And it's like, I don't mean to be that dude that's like cliche, but it's just that just is what it is. Like everybody overcomplicates everything, and it's like, no, you just need to. It's really the Nike just do it. It's like really, if you just do it, bro, they're literally being honest.
I know.
Like it'll get it done.
Sometimes our brain it tries to like predict the future. Like so many times we try to predict it. Like it goes through all these situations. It could be fear. It could be good, even good predictions. But sometimes all you need to do is just like look at right now, whatever's happening, like let me just do whatever I need to do right now, like, and not even look about how is this going to end up, but just focus right now. And then over time that thing will come, like the vision for it will come over time.
Like I literally just saw something that was about like success and consistency. And sometimes it's not about like feeling like, oh, I need to get this done, but it's not to the caliber you want it to be. But it's about like, oh, if I do this every single day, like I'm just gonna get better at it. Like I think about that with like basketball. Like I played basketball like NJB as a kid all the way to like 8th grade. And like I was pretty solid. And like I never really like practiced. But then like thinking back on it now, like as an adult, I'm like, yo, I really did practice. Like I put in 4 days every week like practicing. But that's just because like that was my life. Like even last night we were talking about like as a little kid, like a drive to LA was like the craziest thing. Like, whoa, this is so far. And now it's like, we got to drive 45 minutes. Like, dude, I don't want to drive to LA right now. Like, whatever. But it's like, you got to do what you got to do. And it's like, it's not as far as it is. Just things aren't what they are when you're younger. And then when you get the bigger picture or like a clearer picture, it's like, okay, wait, actually that's attainable. Or like, actually, if I just put in work, like we're going to get there. So it's just like, you got to kind of block out. I don't like block out the haters, whatever, but like there's a lot of people that are
it's just like focusing on the right things.
And you can't let other people that have their own opinions on their life and what they know or like what they've learned. You can't like underestimate it or overestimate it. You just got to take it as what it is. And like everybody has something you can pick and choose to learn from. So the more open-minded you are about like, oh, let me take this person's advice or what they think about something that I might like off the top. I'm like, yo, this person they don't know what they're talking about, or this person's like opinion is probably has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But then when you actually hear them, like, whoa, now I'm looking at it from like a consumer's perspective or from somebody else's, and you're really gonna like get value off of that. So it's like, if you can just like,
you got to learn how to take criticism. And
this guy always says it costs nothing to pay attention.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. You just have to be in that moment and like just listen.
Yeah, for sure. And I know like there a lot of creators like now, especially there's been people that are creating with the internet and all this, and they're new to, and everybody is new to all this, like the spotlight being on them and people actually watching and paying attention to them. And so when somebody says something mean or like has an opinion, you can't just take it personally every time, or else you're going to be like, you're going to feel bad. And why let another person make you feel that way, when instead take it for what it is? That's their opinion. That's okay. But because they have that opinion doesn't mean that they're a bad person, or they're like, they're not gonna, or at least they're like paying attention to whatever you're putting out. Right.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. And take it with a grain of salt. And, you listen to it if you want to. If you think that's the right criticism, don't listen to it. And it's all like a choice, I think. Like that you pick and choose whatever you want.
Yeah, you just can't be too ignorant that you don't listen.
Yeah.
If you can be like smart enough or clear-headed enough to just listen, you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to take it into super consideration or whatever. Just like listen, because it might be that one person that changes something that down the road, like if you didn't change that could have been the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was just right there in front of you. Somebody just needed to point it out from a different perspective. I think perspective is so key.
Yeah,
just like
it really is.
On everything.
Because that's like basically life. Like it's your perspective that determines your whole life. Like it doesn't even matter about anything else. Like everything can be going around you, but if you just change the perspective, it could be completely different for you. And that's really all it is if you change the perspective on, I think, I forget who said it. Wayne Dyer. Do you know who that is? He used to be a professor. He said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so it's true. Like if you change your perspective on something, like to you, it's going to be completely different just by changing your perspective on it.
Well, I feel like he can definitely like speak for this, that like, that's kind of the whole, like with the Awakening drop, like the new stuff that just came out, that's kind of like the whole thing with that
purpose
was like,
with it.
Yeah, it's like, it was just like, we were in that slump and like we were looking at things from only our perspective.
Yeah.
And it was just like, damn, like where are we at? Like, how are things going? And then it's like, they're not going how you want them to. So then you're just like you're doubling down on yourself. Like, oh, it's not going how I want, and I'm not executing and all this stuff. So then it's like, hold up, let me take a step back. And like, I think his mom mentioned something about like, dude, you're in a slump. Like you just need to keep doing what you're doing, or switch up what you're doing and change it, because like you're just not where you should be, or doing the things you should be, or as productive or whatever. So then it was like, all right, let's take that step back. And then we looked at it from her perspective. We looked at it from everybody else's perspective, where it's like everybody's at home. Everybody's been stuck in the same world that we've all been in. Like, why don't we just take that second to like restructure, rethink, and then think about everybody else and how they're thinking, and then let's come at it differently. Yeah. And then just like execute from there. And that's kind of like what we did in order to
get yourself
slowly
out of it.
Find success. Like for us, like just getting the stuff out and people being able to go on our website and buy them is like, that's huge. Yeah. Like that's a win in itself. And that's kind of like the same thing that's kept it rolling. Is like, let's not care if we're like the next big guys out and like we're getting thousands of sales. Like, let's just, this is our drop. This is our audience. Let's continue to grow. Let's be ourselves and let's make our shit. And like by us doing that and being about what we're about, like we can't lose. Like nobody can say shit, because it's like, we're just unapologetically ourselves. We're making what we want. And we took a second to get other perspectives before we did it. And so like, I feel like for me at least, and I feel like I can kind of speak for him, that like, that's definitely the take a step back. You'll see things differently, or you'll see different things. I mean, definitely you're like, whoa, like life's a little bit different, or even just the people that see your stuff, or the certain people that are like, hey, that's dope. You're like, oh, okay. Like somebody else that you might not have expected to say that is now saying that. So it's like, are we on the right page? And it's just like a little bit of a reassurance. Like we're on the right page.
You just get in a better mood too. Like you feel better, and therefore you do better because you feel better.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, you know, there's like student journals where you write like, oh, this is what I need to do today or whatever for homework. Like I actually read something that like when you check those off, like, oh, I accomplished this, that it actually releases like dopamine in your body that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
So like he's been on that too. Is like, yo, here's a fucking piece of paper and a pen. You need to write down what you need to do and then like check it off when you're done.
Yeah.
And like you'll realize that one, you're more productive, and two, like you actually feel better doing those things. And it actually worked. And I feel like it's made him more productive.
Yeah. Plus nowadays it's like we have so much to be dealing with in our head that, at least me, just how forgetful I am, writing it down is like the only way I can go. Because even like in my phone, like if it's, I don't really feel like anyone thoroughly checks their notes unless they're like locked in like that. And I need to be, because it's like your digital brain makes up for all the mistakes that like the human air has.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we've tried working on. But in terms of the perspective, it's like, I feel like everyone has that person in their head, like their criticism of like, we're coming up with a drop. It's like, oh no, they're going to think it's stupid because of this reason. When in reality, like no one is thinking that.
Yeah.
It's just that person in your head that's just trying to like always like make you better. But really it's just like
it's trying to keep you safe is really what it's trying to do. Like
and
anything new, your brain just goes, okay, you haven't done this before. You should be scared of it.
Yeah.
And that's what it really
that's
happens.
where you grow the most, is in those moments of being uncomfortable. You're like,
really it is.
You don't feel a certain way. You don't feel comfortable. So like if you have to do something in an uncomfortable moment, you don't realize it, but like you're getting better at that one time, and then so on and so forth. You keep doing it, you're going to get better and feel less uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But that's where you grow the most, is when you're like in those thoughts in your head where you're like, dude, are people going to like this? Or like, oh, this or that. And it's like, well, no, like I like it. Everybody else that helped make it thinks it's dope. Like, it's dope. Like, that is what it is. Like there's no other way to put it.
If you believe that it is, then it is really.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't hit. What I realized over the like past 5 years with Noap is that it's better when you're not overthinking crap, or in terms of like, you just need more reps. And if you take a whole year just to come up with like one t-shirt design, it's like, where's the gain in that? Because if you just put it all into one thing, it's like, the more reps you do, like it's more than just the shirt. It's like the whole process of like promoting the shirt, or learning how to like promote on Instagram, or like explain the shirt, not just making the simple design. It's the whole
all
process.
the things that go into it.
Even just like telling someone what it even means, or shipping it out. It's the whole process. And I realized I would stress too much just to behind of like, why is this drop happening, or why is this like pieces of clothing coming together, when in reality, like just the more reps you do, like the better it will come out.
Yeah. You know, Seventh Heaven, right? He's been on the podcast, and he mentioned overthinking a lot. Like he told me a story, like he was in the studio and he had this one song and he kept like redoing it so many times because he thought like he could make it better. And then he basically ruined it by overthinking about it, thinking, oh, this people aren't gonna like this. This is what, like all these thoughts going into it, when really it was already a masterpiece. Yeah, it was already good, and he just thought those thoughts, and eventually like he kept putting too much into it.
Yeah,
and so
I think that's mainly social media, because everyone's so used to seeing the finished product.
Yeah,
when in reality, like what goes in behind that finished product, no one knows. Even if they do the documentary or the BTS, like, that's still also calculated. So it's like everyone feels like they need to be on 10 all the time, when like that's not what life is. Yeah,
it's really a process of, because like you mentioned, nobody knows. Like I don't even know what goes into making clothes or any of that, but what a person that's creating, they have that experience and they know. And when they see other people that are higher up than them, the perspective that a lot of people take is I should be there, when really it's be inspired by whatever's there. Like I could get there too, but like be inspired from it first. It's not like you got to be there right now. It's that be inspired from it, from whatever that person is, whatever that person's doing, because then you realize I could do that too. Like you got to believe that you can make it, or else like whatever that dream is, whatever that vision is, like you have to believe, or else what are we even doing here?
No, seriously. And I feel like you get really caught up in that. Like you see a brand come out with something and you're like, I don't really like that, or whatever. And that's all just personal taste, but then you see it and then it's sold out and you're like, damn, oh, they sell that out. I didn't think it was that good or like whatever. And then you get more down on yourself than you do like, damn, they're killing it.
Yeah.
Like I might not like that design, but their audience, they know them well enough because they just sold their shit out.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not it, but I mean, that's kind of the goal, you know, like the goal with it is to just get people in it and repping it and like that whole thing. And like if somebody
get them excited about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you want to give people a reason to want to wear your stuff or like represent you or have them be an extension of your brand, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think a great like extension of people being like a part of your brand is like the whole like Tyler and Drake at Flognaw.
Really?
You know, yeah, you got like Drake coming out, he's the headliner closing Sunday, and then you got a couple people in the front booing Drake off stage, you know, and like Tyler said on Twitter, it's like, I feel some type of way because like I told this guy to come, you guys are all accepting or whatever, you're not gonna judge him, and then I got people booing him off stage.
I know.
And they're like an extension of his festival, which is a part of him, you know, so it's like that's a whole like brand identity thing that I think we're trying to get better at with the whole events and like giving people a place where they just want to be. Yeah. Because that will then just drive people to like want to be around Noap more, around us more, or just around the brand, represent it more, just like actually have more of a reason than just the clothes. Cause
like, anybody could make clothes like, and like, but it's what it represents that gets people involved in it. Right?
Exactly. And like with social media, it's kind of like, you don't really need to have much of a brand identity. It's like if you got cool photos and a good design, like you can kill it online. Where like we've talked about it, where like we really need that like in person, like that connection you make with someone. Because like even like you, like we just met in person today, and we're already like going, you know, and you're like you get to know people more. You actually are just like you have to be real. Like you have, even if you're being fake to that person, that's still you being real because you're a fake person. So it's like. You have to be some type of way in person. You can't just type it out. Yeah. So like for us, I think it's like finding that ground between being inspired by another brand and also like that like fire being lit under you. Like I said, you may not like it. It may not be your cup of tea, but they're still doing their shit and they're killing it. So there's another thing to be inspired on. So like,
it doesn't mean that whatever they're doing makes you less. Like I know Gary Vee talks about that. Like he said something about building the tallest building. Like you could either break someone else's building or build yours to the highest that you could possibly take it. And so when you try to like knock somebody else down, like there's so many people, like how are you can't knock everybody down. That's not going to happen. So if you want to do something, just build your tallest building that you could possibly make. It doesn't even matter like how tall other people's are, whatever you want. However big you want to make it, that's what you should focus on.
And I feel like that's what the pandemic, at least, a lot of people didn't learn that. Like it kind of forced people to like be in that mindset that like no matter what's going on, whether like with the country or the outside world or even just like your immediate like friends, it's like it's what you do at the end of the day that gets you far. Like everything else affects your life in inches. It's like what you're doing when you wake up. That's, you know, are you gonna just slack off and like, you know, chill the shit, or are you gonna try and tap in and work at your craft every day? But some people just put it off for later. Some get too swayed. They
distract themselves.
Yeah. Some get swayed by those other opinions or can get caught up in stuff that like will have them feeling some type of way that they don't need to be because they're caring about something that isn't even affecting their life on a day-to-day basis.
And just to make it clear, we've all been there. Like we've all been there, and we probably still are. Like every day, like you're not at your final form or whatever, you know, like there's still a lot of growing and a lot of learning, and like something you think you have down now in a year from now, like you said, perspective could change, and you're like, yo, I should have been doing this like this the whole time. And you might have even found success in that. And it's just like just small tweaks and stuff can make better things better. It's like, oh, this is already really good. Well, actually, if I make it this way, this is going to change everything.
That's why they say like life is a process, because it is like you should never be fully content like with where you're at, because whenever I'm like just okay, I did good on this episode, I don't know how to do anything, the next episode's trash because I didn't like prepare and put the same focus, the same energy that I did with the really good one to the next one. Because every time I record something or edit or make clips, like I'm always finding new ways to improve it, like not just like for other people to enjoy, but I want to be creatively involved in it. So it's fun for me too.
Yeah.
So if I just do the same shit all the time, it's boring. Like I need something new, something that's, and for me, the learning process is the best. Like, cause if I don't know how to do something, let's say on like Premiere Pro, I YouTube it and like I get to watch somebody else do it. And then I learn on my own and figure it out. And on Photoshop and shit like that, like that's the learning process that really gets me excited. And I think everybody does that. Like if you're in a class, like if the teacher is really good at explaining a topic, you're really paying attention because you're excited to learn. And with that mentality, it's hard to do it every single day. But if you're just trying every single day to do that, then that's all that really matters. At the end of the day.
Putting yourself in the right position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I get that with like the software stuff.
Yeah.
Like we've been at a point where it's like, we can come up with designs, but then like executing them to a point where we have like a PNG and now we're going to like go take it somewhere. They're going to burn a screen. Then we're going to take that. We're going to go back and we're going to print them all. And then all this stuff, like we've gotten to a point where it's just like, dude, we can't just keep like outsourcing this work to somebody else or whatever. So it's like, okay, let me get into Photoshop and like actually learn this better. Let me get into Illustrator so we can do this. Or like, let's get somebody who's more in-house in our friend group that already knows it. Yo, can you teach us this a little bit? Because we need more help there and we don't want to keep doing it out.
I know.
And then so when you do learn it, it's like, wait, there's a shortcut. It's Command T. And you're like, whoa, dude, that just
learned
everything.
some random shit out of nowhere.
Like, you're like all excited when you just learned like a function and a thing. You're like, all right, we're getting there. And then, but like you said, a couple days later, you're learning new stuff and it's like, you needed to learn that to learn this. And it's like,
one step at a time.
All that process that gets you to that point of being able to build a skyscraper, you know?
Yeah.
Like they didn't just be made out of nothing. Like first you needed to learn how to landscape before you could even put the base down, you know? So it's like, you got to be able to lay the groundwork before you can build on top of that. And I feel like, not that this guy hadn't already been doing that, but like when I met him, it was kind of like, I just felt like, oh, this kid's got a dope brand. And like, I had helped with like Brad and Rose and stuff since we were like sophomores in high school. Yeah. So it was kind of just like, let's help this guy out. Like, let's see what I can do. And originally it was just like, oh, I'm just going to try to like facilitate people. Like, oh, you need someone for a photo shoot? I can do photos. I got you. Like, oh, you need this? Like, I'll help them out. And now it's just like, now we're just in the cut. It's like, all right, we're
doing it together.
Yeah. We got like this team here, or it's like, who can we have working to make this whole machine run? And that was really like, where the whole like, oh, I'm going to try to facilitate people came in. Cause I was like, dude, your brand is like a machine. And without your machine having like, without a car with wheels, it don't go nowhere. Without a car with engine, it doesn't go anywhere. You know, now you just have this. So we need all of these things to be working at once so that we can get from point A to point B. And I think we've definitely gotten somewhere in like the year that it's been, or almost a year. Just like I said, just executing a drop alone and having hats and jackets and shirts for people to like, if they want to wear them, buy them and wear them, you know, like it's there now. So, and not that it hasn't been in the past, it's just like,
it's gotten to a point where you're proud of it. Like we got here now.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's like, okay, how, already as is, it's like, I feel like it's been what, a week since everything came out? Not even? It's been like a week. And in my head, I'm already like, yo, new designs. I'm like, what's the next stuff? Like, we going shorts, or let's get into this, or let's get into that. And it's like, it's so far ahead, but I think that's kind of just.
But that's the fun of it, is the brainstorming and ideas coming in.
Yeah, because even like you can understand because you create your podcast, so it's like you pick who's going to be on the show, you curate everything, questions, all this stuff. So from a creator standpoint, you can understand where it's like, well, how do I want this to look? How do I the execution process? Like you get it all. It's like, you got to do this, and this before you can even get to the point where it's like, here's a jacket. Yeah. And people, like as a consumer, you're just like, where the hell's that jacket?
Yeah. You don't understand the process that goes behind everything. And even the biggest brands in the world, like they all have their own shit. Of course, it's like all mainstream for them because they have the resources. But any company, like you could be a chef and it's like, to prepare a restaurant, like that's a lot of fucking stuff that you got to do to make it come together, right?
And you can't do it all at once.
Yeah.
And that's like
it takes, want it done it all at once, but then you realize, okay, let me focus on this first, and then you split it up, I guess. And
Yeah,
then,
that's how like the team process comes into stuff. Is there? It's like, oh, you guys are like design and production. Like you need to do the design, and you need to figure out where we're getting the stuff manufactured at, how much the units are going to cost, and it's like, well, now we're getting into money. It's like, who's going to budget the stuff?
yeah.
Who's going to know how much like we're going to make on each product or whatever, and all this stuff. So then it's just like I said, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Yeah, and like if I'm being honest, like we don't want to do the business side of shit. Like we want to be at the events. Like we want to be making the clothes. Like we want to be doing the photo shoots. Like we don't want to be like, oh, doing the numbers, crunching numbers. Like, oh, this is how much we got to sell the jackets for to break even or to make money or whatever. And it's like,
even that's what we got to do because no one else is there. And the hardest part is finding people that care and that are motivated because you can't teach that. And so that's why so many different moving parts have changed on this team. And like, we still have a bunch of spots to be taken or filled in, but that's the whole thing where if no one's filling those spots, that's what makes the growth a little slower because we have to take on
more responsibility.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to it. Like
you learn a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Like he could definitely say like going 4 years without a team, like took you 9 months to learn screen printing, which is way longer than it should have. But when you don't have anybody else, when you're just learning on YouTube or whatever, like sometimes the process is what it is. And to get
but
to
it makes you better because of that. Like you take on more shit and then maybe in the future you don't know how to do it, but at least you know how it is done. Like if you have no idea how to run a business whatsoever and you're letting other people do it, you look at the numbers one day, you're like, hold up, this doesn't look right because you don't know. And so
I think that's
if you
where
have the knowledge
comes because that's where the people that don't know what goes into it, that's why they don't get the severity of literally like just reposting. If you don't know the whole severity of like one repost means a lot, then you're not even going to care because reposting takes 2 seconds or commenting takes 2 seconds. But if you don't get how important that is, you're not going to do that as a team or as anyone. So that's why the whole, make sure like 10 people share it. That's like supposed to be simple, but like telling someone that doesn't get it, it won't register.
Yeah. I mean, for anybody to like share it or do anything, like for me personally, like I don't expect that from anybody because like I'm not them, you know, they don't care. Like if they care, that's great. If they don't, that's also great. But me, I'm just trying to do the best shit that I could do. And if they do care, then, and if they do share, like that's great. And I appreciate it. But if they don't, I'm not mad at myself that they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Right. That's not how
we're
it should
talking
be.
more like of like our team members.
Yeah, it's like, you're supposed to be helping with this or that, and then people just like don't say shit for a couple days or whatever, and then like we're posting and they're not reposting our shit, and it's like
even just like with the festival, clothes is not as urgent, but with the festival, you need to be in people's faces all the time because you know people only want to go to a festival that other people are going to. And so it's like if you need to share every post or whatever as a team member, if that's just like the minimum, then it's like go hard on that. Make sure everyone's reposting. But it's the whole, if they don't know what goes into making a shirt or putting in a festival, they're not going to understand how important that is, even though it is simple at the end of the day. But you can't expect that from someone.
Yeah. And I want to talk about, or you guys could explain what this festival is about. I know it's next week, right?
Next Friday.
A week from yesterday.
Okay. Yeah.
So
16th.
It kind of came from the idea of this where, you know, being in a slump and realizing that you just need to snap out of it. We took that a step further with SnapFest because we're trying to snap out of whatever the fuck happened these past 18 months into this new reality. And it wasn't all bad during the pandemic. Like, you know, life was at 1,000 miles a minute forever until March 2020. And so when life went to zero, it was up to you what you made of it. And so the lessons that you did learn, we're trying to take those with us into this new reality, not trying to sound like Socrates or anything, but it's like life's not going to be the same post-pandemic. And so you can't have it the same mentality that you did pre-pandemic, during the pandemic. It's next move for this next reality. So with SnapFest, we're trying to officially snap out of it on July 16th. And in terms of like what it really is with the artists, we understand that most people don't know the lineup on a mainstream scale, and we're not just okay with that, but we're proud of that because it follows the theme of like new experiences, meeting new people, new music. We've got like Rose, other clothing brands that are from our area. So we're trying to just bring a staple of what it is for us with having like-minded people that are on the same drive, but with the theme of this new reality, new life.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like I wouldn't have thought like just you guys making a festival happen here, but that's really amazing to see. And you know, if anybody wants to go, like where can they find a website? Or snapfest2021.com.
Okay. Link and tickets right there. $40 for GA, $75 for VIP. There's parking passes. It's a real thing. People are like, because it's a secret location. It's this 40-acre ranch right outside of Hollywood. Damn. So once you cop the ticket, you get the address. But yeah, snapfest2021.com, and we're already excited.
It's all legit. It's like Eventbrite tickets, whatever. Snap.fest on Instagram, links in the bio. So like you could check that out. But yeah, I think it's kind of like we were saying earlier about the whole like, you don't gotta worry about other people's worlds. This is that step for us where it's like, this is our world. Yeah. We want everyone to be a part of it. Like, and that's the whole thing with the new artists. It's like, you might not know them, but they're gonna be a part of this because they came at it with an open mind and we're like, let's do it. And that's like how we kind of pulled it off. It's like, let's come at this with different than how he's thrown parties in the past. Cause I mean, you threw parties in high school, like you got rappers to come out and like they were big events, and it wasn't just like, here's this little party. It was like, oh, let's go to a stage guy and get a stage and lights, and we're talking like at a house party. So it's like definitely different from what you probably see around here. And it was like, well, we can actually take this to the next level where it can be an actual event, like I said earlier, where people want to be there. Yeah, and then you could meet new people too, like all the artists and shit. Like you might not have known them in the past, but then now you get to meet them, and they have a network that you could build as well. That has been the biggest thing, because the moment that we just fully engulfed ourselves, like we're doing this festival, we have made just so much progress to where it's like, this is our life now. We know what to do already for the second festival. Like we can start working on that July 17th. Damn. And I love that, because there's already so much we're like, oh, we could have done this, could have done that. Well, it's like, well, we can, because we'll have the second annual SnapFest where, like you said, with the artist connections, or even just like, you know, for our staging, you know, Camp Flogna has like the flame flog, and that's the type of stuff I psych out about. And we get to have that where it's like our mountain ranges of saying SnapFest, or the posters, and just all the little things that when you walk into Camp Flogna or any festival, like you're kind of used to it. Yeah. But that's the kind of stuff that like it costs nothing to pay attention. Yeah. And so that's the type of stuff we're going to do everything we can to make sure that July 16th is like the perfect day for everyone. Even just from like the little like food vendors, like those are some of our family friends that are like running their food trucks and all that. So getting all the people involved and making it a special event. Yeah. I think that's how like Rose got tied into it. Was like, asked Brad, like, hey, did Brad want to have a booth? Like, we don't want to just make this a Noap thing. Like, we want to show love to other brands that, you know, like I've done work for them in the past. So it's like, hey, let's all come out. Other people we know who have brands that are like doing stuff, you know, actually being active. Like, oh, let's do something with my world, you know. And we can understand from like a creative point of view where you're like, oh, you've put in a lot of work. Yeah. Like, let us show some love real quickly. This is what we can offer, you know? Yeah. Plus, it's just fun to be around like like-minded people, you know? Like, if you know all these creators and people that think like you get inspired by them, whatever they put out, like whatever their shop is, like, you're like, oh, that's a cool design. And then that's where you make the connections and stuff. And yeah, I think with the pandemic alone, just like being around people, not even because they're like-minded, just like being around people, you're like, you're like, I know it's been back outside. Crazy. Like at least now, I think with the vaccines and everything, it's gone way better. And I know in other countries, it's not the same, but over here, at least it's gone way better. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's cool to be able to put an event on again where it's like, such a blessing. Yeah. The fact that we can even like be stressing on a day-to-day basis about an event, about people like being outside, is you can't take that for granted. And that's where I told the whole team like 2 months ago, like we get to wake up every day for the next 45 whatever days and work towards something bigger than ourselves. So like no matter how hard it gets, like realize that's a blessing. Cause like where were we a year ago? Yeah. Just stuck in our room, like when can we go? You know, so we realized that no matter what the turnout is, like it's the whole process, the whole gander that we're in it for. Yeah, just enjoy the moment really is
is all you could do.
We'll be looking back like, damn, I remember that summer. Like,
Yeah.
So just enjoy the now, fully put yourself in it, and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you mentioned earlier, like how you wanted to figure out what you wanted to do with your life, right? Like at an early age, you thought of that, like, I wanted to do this. And I think a lot of young people, they don't ask themselves that question. And I wanted to just like talk about that a little bit. What made you get asked that question? Like what inspired you to be like, I need to go out and get it now?
To be honest, it was like even just like not even being an 8th grader, like going into 8th grade and getting put onto just certain, I guess music was the first connect. And especially with someone like Tyler, the Creator, with it's not just the songs, it's the whole music videos and everything, where you can see like he puts his thought and his care and like his print on everything he does. And so I think I was just filled with all that like inspiration, but not knowing exactly what to do with it. Yeah. Because I feel like every kid,
because you're 8th grade.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I want to become an NBA player, or I want to become a rapper. It's like, well, okay. I feel like once you get older, then like that dream of, oh, I like music kind of shapes down to more like what caters to you. Yeah. And to me, I just kind of forced myself to make that, I'm making a brand. And that has morphed over time to like, I realized I like to entertain. I like to have events. You can bring the clothes there. Because, you know, with parties, no one parties for their whole life. Like that has to stop. Or with clothes, like even like a mentor that we have of Brian from Period Correct. He's like, I'm done with the whole clothes thing. Like I grew up, or like I'm old now. Because he's done the whole cut and sew and all that. Now he's onto like vintage cars and all that. Because
like at sometimes you're really involved and you really care about it, but once the passion like dies down and you don't feel the same anymore, and you're still trying to put it in, that's when like it turns to shit. Because it's like with actors too, like the older they get, like they want to keep on doing it. They think that they have the star power, but they don't have the same passion for it, and therefore the product is bad at the end of it. And
that's where the 8th grade me did the right first thing of like, I want to apply myself to something. Yeah. But what I didn't know is like, that isn't your like end all do all, because you're still like 12. Yeah. So it's just like, you're going to
And even now, dude, we're still young. Like this shit we could change even now, and it'll still.
Exactly. You just got to be self-aware. Yeah. If you're self-aware about like, oh, this is what I want to do now, but I know that like down the road, this is going to lead to this or that, or like, knowing your future endeavors and maybe what you want to do, but you know that you got to do this to do before you can do that, or just like knowing the process and being self-aware that it's going to take that process to get
just
there.
Wanting to experience it first and
like
then trying
emotions change so much too. It's like you feel some type of way about something and another factor changes how you feel about it. So you have to be aware that like you're going to feel differently about things, like, and time makes you feel differently about things. So if you do what you're going to do, like you said, and just be in that moment and do what you have to do now to like build that like structure or whatever, down the road, you're going to realize like, okay, I'm glad that I did that then, because I didn't just keep sitting until
waiting for inspiration.
Like, now I shouldn't do it because
why the time goes. And I know like there's so many kids like in college and shit that don't know what they do. Like they're just there, and
which is okay. Yeah. But which is okay. Like, that has to get old after a certain point of just like, are you doing the same things on the weekend? Are you just looking to like go out or get?
Because I think they kept on following what their parents said, or what their inner circle. They all said, okay, we're gonna get good grades, go to college, get a job. But like, what job? Like, what exactly is it?
Why?
And so why? And does it make you happy? And I think a lot of people, now they're realizing like, okay, the internet shows that you could actually be happy doing what you love, like you or make money off of doing what you love. And so when people start seeing that, like, okay, I like doing this, we can monetize it this way. And there's so much, like there's literally anything you could do. I know Gary Vee talks about like selling Pokemon cards or doing anything. Like there's so much out here, whatever you want, like it's there for you to go at. And like it just takes like one step. Like you just made a decision, I made a decision, we all made a decision just to like go for it, and it changed our lives, man. right?
There's space for everybody to have
Yeah.
their spot in whatever it is, whether it's you having a podcast or us having a brand or somebody open a restaurant. Like, there's space for everybody. It's just like, I do kind of agree that like there is some sort of like I don't know, shot clock.
Yeah.
Like, you either have to like take your shot and do it, or like, I don't know if shot clock's the right one, because I feel like
it's a personal shot clock, because everyone can make a brand. And even like throughout this process, when we're trying to promote this festival, we see there's 50 other people around the country that are like, oh, I want to throw in a post-COVID event. And it's just like, oh, you're not the only one. Instead of looking at it like, oh, they're better than me, or oh, they suck. It's just like,
there's space for everybody. Like,
if you have the
everybody
collaborative mindset, life is so much better, because then it's like, you're not always trying to compete, even though competition is good. If you're looking at it like, oh, he could help, do post interviews for this, or like even someone else that does events, okay, he can help promote it. So it's just, if you look at it like you're a sponge, let me soak up everything, then like, let me just be super defensive. Then it just, life's a lot more fun that way.
Yeah, it really is. And like, I recently like I rewatched like the Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan, right? Have you seen that?
Yeah. COVID times.
I was watching that shit last year, and I was like, let me revisit it, because it's on Netflix now. And then you see like some of the, like, Michael Jordan, of course, we all know like he's really competitive. He's always on his shit. Like, he doesn't care about anything else except winning.
Yeah.
And that comes at a price, really. Like, he had to pay a price. Like, he had some of his relationships with other players were bad because he cared so much about winning. And whether that was the right thing to do or wrong thing to do, like, that's up to him. Like, he'll decide if he has regrets or not. But and everybody else has to decide for themselves. Like, do you want to stay so focused that you leave other people behind that you care about, just so you could do whatever it is that you want? Like, you have to make that decision. And
there is no like path or like or itinerary of like, oh, you're making the right steps.
Yeah.
But that's like the best part of it, because if there was like a step-by-step plan,
that's no fun.
Yeah. Right? Everyone tries to put buy my pack to learn how to do a clothing brand. It's like, no, how much money I spent on time, like, watching your stuff, I could have really been like making it happen in real life. So
the unknown is really where all the new experiences come from, right?
I feel like that is kind of like a part of the process, like the MJ thing, where it's like you just have to, like, I'm not saying cut people off, but when
some people though,
when you're at a point where, and I'm not saying like, oh, we want to make this happen more than I want to have a solid friendship, because I think relationships are probably the most valuable thing, because it's really who you know. But I do think that, like, if someone's holding you back, or if they're not putting in their part and somebody else will, then business is business, bro. Like, you got to handle what you got to handle. And if you're not performing, like, bro, if you're working a desk job and you're showing up 3 hours late and you're doing work the rest of the time you're there, but you're still missing 3 hours, like, it's just not enough, you know? And like, you're going to get fired, or you're going to get cut. And like, same thing with the NBA team. Like, you're not performing, you're going to get cut from the team, you know? Like, it just is what it is, and it's a tough thing for sure.
Yeah, and it's even tougher like with friends. Like, say your friends are like negative and shit. Like, maybe they were great in the past. Like, you had fun times partying and shit, but now you're on to the next level. Like, if they don't, and some people, I know I've experienced with this. Like, I've tried to like change them, and I realized like you can't do that. You can't like tell them I want to do this, and like you gotta support me and shit. Like, I can't tell them to do any of that. Like,
mixing friends with business is the hardest thing because of that. It's hard to like an NBA team to cut off someone if they're not, whether they're performing or just being supportive, to where if you have a friend and you take on this endeavor of this business, you try to make that a business relationship when it's not. So then if they can't, it's like a two-way street. If you can't support and all that, it's not that I expect you to, but don't get down on me if I can't give you what I gave before. Of like, oh, I'm gonna be working on this X amount of times, and if you can't be like happy or supportive about that, and you want to tear me down, that kind of says more about you than me, because I'm not that. Whether they know what they're doing or not shouldn't affect how I support them.
I honestly feel like starting a small business though, like, that's kind of like just a part of that process. That's what I'm trying to get at, is like, whether it's like friendships, family, or even like girls, like relationships, like this guy's been like, you know, in some stuff where he's like, hey, I don't know if I want to mess with this girl because like I got all this stuff I gotta do, and like she's just gonna be a distraction, bro. And it's like, yeah, you like her or whatever, but you know that like there's
like whatever's more important. It's probably
to you that relationship's probably gonna be temporary. This whole other thing we try to make full time, so it's like what's really worth it. But I think
they start if you get annoyed of like you always trying to think of what the next move is and like
you're like, yo, this is my life. Like, what do you mean you annoyed that like I came up with a new idea for a shirt? Like this is what I'm engulfed.
Makes me like feel bad, and I'm like, wait, am I not supposed to be working on something all the time? Oh, maybe you're right. And then it's like, no, chill.
Yeah, and it's changing your whole like perspective, which we talked about is good, but I think when it comes to like, yo, I gotta be locked in.
Like sometimes you just gotta know, especially when you're young. Like when you have a family and stuff, it's harder because you know you have responsibility there. But when you're young, like you gotta go all in.
Bro, we have the time now. Like later, I'm gonna be dealing with my taxes, my car payment, and my kids, and getting them to school, and a nanny. Like I got all this other shit. But like the work relationship and like a regular friendship and like doing back to that whole thing. I mean, we definitely had not like trouble, I would say, but like there was definitely times where like, you know, we're kicking it and like next thing you know, we're supposed to be working on this and like somebody's got plots. And it's like, well, bro, like we ain't done nothing. It's been COVID or whatever, you know? It's like that type of stuff. And next thing you know, we're partying till 1 a.m. And it's like, bro, we were supposed to be printing shirts or executing this or that. And it was just like,
the whole person in your head, like, oh, we still need to live.
But we still gotta like have fun and like let loose. And I think COVID really kind of blocked us from being able to do that. Like, oh, we got our Monday through Friday grind, and then Saturday we're gonna do this or whatever. And I'm not like I know Gary Vee talks about we can't live for the weekend or whatever, but like I think time management is huge. And most people in our world use time management as like their Monday through Friday, and then they have a couple days to chill. And like, I don't think I live that way because it's a Saturday morning. I was at work at 5:30. I'm at a podcast at 10. I got to go to my other job in an hour 15. So I don't think I'm lacking, but I think that like there is a point where you got to be like, what do you really want more? And like that's the whole thing with like partying's not going to be the end goal. You know, at some point in time you got to put it down.
And like you said, the self-awareness part is really key as well. Like if you know that this is really who I am and I have to do this, and it doesn't really matter like what the outcome is. It's just the like doing it is what I really need to focus on.
You can't get like 10 things done in a day every time. Sometimes you do, sometimes you get one thing, but it's just like, are you attempting? Like you said.
Yeah, the attempting, the trying is really all that matters. Like really, because the outcome, we never know the outcome. The outcome comes with the time, but like whatever vision you have, I think like ideas come at the most weirdest time. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Ideas come and you just do shit. Like there's an impulse to just do it. And then whenever that comes, you got to ride it. And if it doesn't come, don't be hard that it's not here now. It'll come right when you let go of why isn't it here now.
Yeah. And that's like what I've been trying to work on is like being able to find those ideas. It's not that easy when you're always like in the grind, let me work mode, because you're in that singular perspective. You need to sometimes like go on a bike ride. We picked up pickleball this year. Like
it's okay to party, just not like do it so much that it ruins your life and you don't get to do what you want to do.
Well, even in those moments of like partying and stuff, I would like be on my way and I would literally be so like self-aware about shit we had to do, or like myself, I'd be like, fuck, why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing this, bro? We should be working on something. But I'm like, then you're there and you're in the moment. And you're like, all right, actually, you know, I needed this in order like to get to that point where I could actually sit down for a couple hours and like put the work in. Sometimes just like, it's just like one of those things you just need to rage. You just got to get it out. And like
healthy releases. Sometimes partying isn't, sometimes it is, because you can conversate, you can network, but healthy release we found was definitely pickleball, playing 2-3 times a week. And like, you know, that's how we came up with this whole drop, just like conversating like after pickleball games. And it's just like, that was our good healthy release where, all right, if we're not going to work on something, but we still want to like be putting ourselves in the right position, let's go like sweat, have fun for 2.5 hours, then think of something else while we're doing that. So that's kind of in the
just
game.
Getting your mind off of it. The idea comes most of the time, really. Yeah. And then for me, like you said, pickleball and that gets you off of it. For me personally, like I like to go to the gym or like play basketball and stuff. And that's like more of like a meditative process for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't in the gym, like you're on your own, you're by yourself, and like I don't even listen to music or anything. I just like focus on moving weight, and that's it. Like I'm not worried about what am I gonna do after this, what I did before. Like just right now, focus on moving this fucking weight, and that's it. And
it's that Kobe
yeah,
mentality,
and then that's all it is. And what that does is, like after you get out of that place of like this focus and you let go of it, then whatever the inspiration is, it just flows to you easily, is what I've kind of experienced.
It's the back and forth of like being in your body and like getting out of your mind.
Yeah.
It's like if you're always
sometimes you just gotta like let go.
Yeah.
And
If you're in
come.
your head all the time, it's like you're just gonna beat yourself up so much, and especially with social media. I think that's the whole everyone like has a lot more problems or stuff to deal with now, because it's like you can get in your head so much to where it's like I have to put a time limit on Instagram, because it's just like if I'm on Instagram seeing what everyone else is doing, it's like I'm just gonna be thinking, why am I not doing this? Well, it's just like, whoa, you only need like a little bit of that every day.
Yeah. For me, social media, it comes with good and bad. Like you see a bunch of people doing their shit, and then at the same time, if you keep on scrolling, like you're wasting time basically. Like especially like on TikTok, that'll get you for like so long. I know people that stay on there for hours. And
well, dude, I was never like crazy, not the TikTok thing, but just like crazy, like on social media. Like I'd be on it, and I was like, I paid attention, but I wasn't like, oh, like let me just like be on this nonstop. Like I wouldn't say I was like a TikTok kid or an Instagram kid. Like I saw it and I was a part of it or whatever, but I was never like super like, oh my gosh, whatever.
I have to get on and check the notifications every second.
And like people being like, oh, I'm down on myself now because I saw this, or like the whole like, girls with body shaming, like they see something and like, oh, I wish I looked like her. I never got that because I was just like, what the hell are you talking about? Like I'm me, bro. Like I wake up in the morning and like the first thing I do is go to the bathroom to brush my teeth. I'm looking in a mirror. I'm not on my phone looking at other people. I'm looking at myself. So
exactly.
I need to like be who I want to be, not like, oh, damn, this person looks like this, or this person's doing that. So, like, I never really got that. But honestly, when NFTs came out, that was like when that whole craze started to happen. That's when I realized was like they all clicked for me that the digital world and everything that's here is no different than what's here. Like us in this moment. Like, it is, and we know that, but it's so close to not like having a difference now that it's just, it is that. So, like, it's the same thing as like seeing somebody else in public, or like running into your ex-girlfriend and she's with her new boyfriend. You're like, damn, you know? It's the same thing as seeing the pic on the gram. You're like, damn, you're all sad, you know? Like, it's the same thing. So,
and you get caught up in these like unrealistic situations, and it's just like,
but the thing is, now it's all real. It's like, this is real. So whether you see her in public at the mall and you're like, damn, or you see it on the gram, it's all the same. It's going to affect you the same way, emotionally, mentally, all those things. So
and then you could decide like it doesn't have to affect me that way. Like, again, self-awareness, literally everything. And knowing that, okay, I see this, I could either take it this perspective, which is going to ruin my mood, or I could take it, I had to just let go and realize, okay, that's great. I appreciate whatever that is, and then move on. This, my new chapter, expect better things coming moving forward.
It's like finding the balance between like the whole like me, like and being selfish, but also just being like selfless. And like all these other people when you're like creating, or that, just bringing it back to that, it's kind of like you got to know who you are and what you want to see, but then it's just like also all these other people. So it's kind of like just finding that balance in your own head. Or I mean, for us, like now that there's like a little team and we're talking like 5 guys, it's like, it's there and you can like see it, but it's like, it's that process, you know, it's like, how do we get to the next level? And it's just a matter of being aware, knowing where we want to go, how we want things to be, who's going to fit in where, and just being able to adapt and facilitate and execute. And that's really all it is. And it's like, it's so, each thing is different. Whether, like I said, whether it's a podcast or music or clothes or just being an artist, like it's all going to be different process in executing and finding the success. But it's just like, you just have to do it. You can't overcomplicate the shit. It's just, you have to learn your process, and like literally you have to make it like, you need your own For Dummies book.
Yeah.
Like for whatever it is you're doing, you need to know that this is that
write
shortcut.
it in during it, like during the process, you just
and go back to edit.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you can actually execute, and that's where like all those things that seem so much harder or bigger, they're really not.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, actually it's just like this real quick. Like let me just go back, because I learned that process. Like we're gonna look back on stuff, and like him teaching me how to screen print. It's like him taking all that time to like learn that is what's gonna have made us better, because like we're not gonna be some dudes who are doing a brand, and like when the screens are like not done yet, or when printing's taking forever, we're not gonna be like, what the hell, why is it taking so long? Because we know the process, you know. And it's
I learned just by teaching you, because when I say it out loud, it's like, wait, why am I doing that? Or like it'll make more sense.
Teaching it makes it,
like
you learn
teaching
better.
someone something you've already done, you learn, because when you like relay it, you kind of see, oh wait, maybe that is wrong.
Yeah.
But
so I feel like it's just like the world and like internet and all this shit, and like honestly, I believe in school or whatever. Like I think educating yourself and getting the knowledge you need is important as shit. I just don't think it's like for every person. And like in school, I feel like you kind of get told it's like, you got to do it this way or that way or whatever, and it's kind of like, nah, actually,
YouTube.
Yeah, like YouTube. Or I can
like that's where I learn everything.
Yeah, like I can learn this differently, or you know what, like Photoshop especially, it's like there's 10 different ways to get the same thing done. It's like, wait, actually we can all have the same thing, and like the shortest one and the easiest way might be better than doing it the long right way. And like that's just how it is. And it's like, honestly, just taking it how it is, like life and like all that shit, and just doing what you need to do, and like kind of just honing in on not really caring. It's just like, we just overcomplicate the shit out of it. That's really what I'm trying to get at. And it's like, even now I'm probably overcomplicating telling you that it's overcomplicated, bro.
Yeah, but you mentioned school and the learning process and that, and I know we all experience that, like school, and I think what school tries to do is like put too much information, like all the shit that they want you to know, they try to put on you, and it's good up until a certain point. I think like after you like high school and shit, that's when you need to like try. That's why YouTube is so important, is because when I started to watch other people and become inspired by things that are not in school, that's when I started to think like, okay, there's other stuff out here than besides what's been taught all this time. At your own
pace, not in like a 4 month or 5 month semester. It's like sometimes learning like the basics, like principles of business, isn't going to be able to be relayed in 5 months. Sometimes it's going to take a whole year, or just putting yourselves in certain positions that like isn't going to be taught in a textbook. And just like the different way of teaching on YouTube, like it's way better for me personally. Like when a teacher is there like teaching something or like doing PowerPoints, that's not too engaging for me. But when somebody that's actually in the business, like they're doing, like I watch Joe Rogan. Why? Because he's the best in this business right now. And that's who I look up to. Like there's probably classes for podcasting, but why would I take classes when this person is doing it at the highest level right here? And I could watch that and learn from it. There's people like Joey Diaz that are really great at storytelling, and I learn from that as well. And you get to just pick and choose everything just from listening and experiencing. And that goes with everything. Like every profession is on YouTube. Every person is sharing whatever they want to share, and you get to learn from all of that. And even stuff that like I learn from things that aren't related to podcasting. Like I go on like cooking channels and like fucking watch cooking videos just learn from that shit. Like whatever.
Bro, I like people like, oh, what show are you watching? Or like whatever. I'm like, yo, I've been watching the Dodgers, the Lakers, and YouTube. Like that's it. It's like I've only put something on if like they have games on the TV, and I'm probably like watching it in the background of watching YouTube. I'm like, oh no way, fucking so and so got a hit, or like fucking LeBron's hurt. What's new? You know, it's like,
and that's all on YouTube too.
Yeah, it's like that's on YouTube or Instagram before it's even fucking on TV. I'm like, dude, wait, what? This is 60 seconds behind. LeBron's hurt. Like. It's like, it's crazy. It's just like right there in front of you. And like I said, I'm literally like a YouTube addict.
Yeah.
Like
same.
Like you said, the whole like cooking shit, like bro, maybe like 3 months ago, I woke up 6:15 in the morning. I'm like half asleep still, open my phone, start watching Derek Jeter highlights. And like, you know what? I had a great day. I was inspired to be great by Derek Jeter, bro, because he's the best to ever do it. I'm like, all right, you know what? Like, this is actually a good start to my day. And it's like, not actually, you know, but YouTube is informational, or if you just want to be entertained, like you can be on there. I'm like, bro, I don't need 40 minutes of like some true crime bullshit. I'm like, dude, this stuff's going on every day. We already know people getting murdered all secretly, whatever. Like, miss me with that. Let's show me some real shit. Like Jeter fucking throwing a double play. Like, geez.
Yeah, dude. And I think like now, like these kids and even us, like our generation is going to be like way more like intelligent, isn't maybe the right word, but like just more aware, and also
soak up more.
Yeah, soak up more, because I think the previous generations, they only had like TV, and they had to read books if they wanted to gain certain types of knowledge. And even that, like not everybody wrote books, but now almost everybody can create. And so if somebody has some type of knowledge, it's most likely on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like literally everything's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so if you just look for the right things, like if you're on YouTube typing up like cat videos, like sure, watch that if you want to, but like there's so much more information that you could learn, like science videos or math or the list goes on, like clothing, anything, just so much all in one place.
Dude, even in high school, you teaching teachers stuff on YouTube because these teachers don't know how to teach.
Teachers playing the YouTube videos.
Yeah, the teachers using YouTube to teach. It's like, dude, why don't you just get us a fucking computer that just plays YouTube for us? Like, why do we need to pay this late?
Yeah, YouTube is, I think, we would even look at it as like a social media platform. It's just kind of like its own like database or access to like other information,
and it like recommends shit too, that like if you play a video that's the similar type of video will play next, or they have that sidebar videos, and so like if you have like something interesting, okay, let me check this a new channel, this guy might teach it a different way, and then you just keep going. And it's random. Like I don't even think about like I need to learn this. I just like, oh, let me just click a video, and then I learn it just by like just watching it. I'm not like paying attention.
Or you'll get a video and be like, wait, do I need to learn that?
Yeah,
like, And 75% of my YouTube recommended is now just like frequencies of just like, before I needed help to just sleep, so I looked up how to sleep, and then it was like all these sleeping frequencies of the different hertz. Now, 9 months later, that's all that's in my, stop fear and overthinking. And we didn't touch on it, but the messages of these hats is each hat is equipped with its own frequency. Yeah. So 852 hertz is like, let go of fear and overthinking. So it's like you're equipped with that. The 999 hertz is the angelic realms, where you're just tapped into that. So even where you're not always having to be like, let me see a tutorial video, YouTube can even give you that, all right, let me like shut off. Let me put some like meditative stuff in the background to like not always be in go mode. Yeah.
At this point, it's just so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really just, I think it's going to change how we do things. Like, cause I know now, even for me personally, like I look at school and think like after a certain point, kids don't even need to do that shit anymore. Cause like if they find a path, again, it's up to the kid. Like whatever you focus on is, and it's the passion and purpose. If you find that within yourself, then you know the direction to go towards, right? But to find that, like it's hard to explain how you find what to do with your life. Like
I think a lot
everybody
of it,
wants to figure that out, but it's hard to explain how it happens, right?
I think a lot of it has to do with like just your upbringing and like parents. Like I feel like I remember in 8th grade, my mom's like, "You want to play little league or you want to do school basketball because it's going to be the same season. You're going to pick one." And I played basketball every year, and for whatever reason, I was like, "You know, fuck this. I'm playing baseball." Like I got to make that decision myself. And I think just like being able to like allow your kid to like make his own decisions.
Yeah.
One, it's tough as a parent probably. I mean, I don't know, I don't have a kid, but it's definitely got to be tough when you like want them to be what you want them to be or whatever. But I think from my perspective, like that's the best way a kid's going to become more self-aware is just by allowing him to.
By trying new things. That's how you like get to know if you like it or don't like it.
Exactly. And you have to be able to try something based on like you trying something and you not liking it. Like whether it's a sport or a food, it's like, oh, actually I'm gonna make the decision to try that. Yeah. That tastes like shit. Now I know not to try that, you know? And it's like, that's just how you learn. That's how you grow. And that's how you find yourself is just from making those decisions, experiencing them and then doing them on your own, because it's just, you have to be that way. And I think a lot of kids somewhere in their teens either have parents that let them do that or have parents that are too strict that don't. And then they just find a way around it to do that. Because no matter what, like you're going to turn 18, you're going to be, oh, I'm my own adult now. And then even for me, I'm like 21 now. I'm like, wait, at 18, I wasn't 18. Like I wasn't on my own. I wasn't paying for my shit. I wasn't handling all this stuff. And now you look at it a little bit differently. So it's just like, at some point, you're going to be at a point where you're like, I'm making all these decisions myself. Yeah. So if you start your kid at 13 with like, what do you want to do? And you put options in front of them and you let them pick, that's going to help them
and
become
try.
more
And then if they don't like it, they could change it again. And then,
And it's like, it sucks because not everyone's going to have those, like, be able to facilitate all that shit for their kid. But that's the only way I think that you can help your kid become more self-aware. Because if not, they're just going to get to that point, whether it's at 15 or it's at 21 or it's at 12, you know? Yeah. It's there. You just have to find it. And it's just a matter of like, it's just a matter of being self-aware. It's like, you can be 13 and not know, but through trial and error, you're going to get to that point where it's like, all right, here I am. And I think you know when you know.
Yeah, you just know. There's like, something.
This is it. Like I have to do this. Like I have to put everything into it. And then your problems become, what else in your life is stopping you from letting that be 24/7? Yeah. Like what's stopping Noap from being my whole life is like, oh, well, I'm probably partying too much, or I'm probably doing this too much, or whatever it may be. And then your mind isn't like, how do I pick what to do? It's how do I take all these things that are stopping me from being more successful? Yeah. And that's just the process. And then hopefully you find the success you need.
Yep. That's really well said. And I think, should we wrap it up there? I know you got some work to do.
I've got to head to work here. I don't know if like there's any other questions you got or whatever, but I mean,
I don't prepare anything really anytime. Like this was all like off the dome, because that's the best flow. Like we just went for an hour something. Like what is it? Hour 20.
Quick Juice WRLD freestyle.
If you guys want to add anything else, like where they could find you on Instagram, anything.
Noap.co.
Yeah, I'll link it on in the description as well.
Snap.fest for the festival.
Get the tickets. It's out now. Like anybody can get it right now.
Anybody can get
Limited
tickets.
left, but yes.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Thank you for coming by.
Dude,
I really appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks, man. And that's it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes,
Peace.
Sir.